Welcome back to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Aspire goes beyond Earf. That's right, Civilization is out. I attempt to debug the Fhoronics test suite, only to discover that someone else undertook that experiment of nope. And Soviet Russia. Steam lock you. Solid Stone reportedly both angered and confused.
This isn't even my final form! Behold, the latest incarnation of the Steam controller. Blood for the Blood God! Gorka Morka, something Warhammer on Linux. And Carmageddon gets a Linux alpha. I'm just fucking with you, but there's a new version of Super Tux Kart out. You should check that out.
Valve seems to be nearing the limits of the hands-off approach, introducing both regional locking and stopping people from selling in-game items in a single week. Torchlight II gets a Linux and Mac depot. Keep your pants on, it's still very much empty. And finally, with only a tangential relation to Linux, Oculus hires former Kinect developers.
I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, up in the Great White North. That's Fang Massacre. And Space Portugal! Pedro Martes together with Chatrun Dynamic live every Saturday. We form a bit of a cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, let's see what's going on in each other's life organs. P-Man, put down that fucking game and...
Yeah, Blizzard finally released Hearthstone for Android after they've been promising it pretty much since the iPad version came out. And like, I want it so bad. And now that they have, my productivity has pretty much gone to shit. It's that damn good.
I just ended up getting caught up on my reading this week. I did absolutely nothing but books.
Over here, not a whole lot. I attempted to try Mate. Good eye, mate. For a desktop, looked at that, and I was like, this would be brilliant if it didn't hardlock X every time I tried to change the theme. So I ran back screaming and begging XFCE4 for my forgiveness, and we are back.
That happens most times I try to mate, too.
It's all teeth and nails. But you know somebody who also tries to mate? That's
Kim Jong-un?
That's right. Schnappi.
He tried.
He can help you out.
If you want to host a website for your new movie project coming out, The Interview 2, Putin in his place.
He can do it. Absolutely. With that unlimited web hosted, unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, one-click script installs, all starting at $3.96 a month. And remind you, this is for hosting only because you have that bitching domain name. And Schnappy even has onto earmuffs, so he's all awesome. 20% off, J-Man. Brilliant.
Oh, that's bullshit. And Putin thinks it's bullshit too, because with the Russian ruble tanking, you need all the savings you can get. So enter the offer code of seizure testing this. LinuxGameCast FTW. That's for the wieners, not for the win. You can get 25% off. That's almost 200,000 rubles.
Yes, comrade. So, what is here? The horses maybe regional this week, eh?
No, see, the horse is being indicted for attempting to fraud the IMF because it's our Steelix
update.
So,
Soviet Russia, comrade.
Steam is region locking PC's English event. Games to stop people exploiting low currency values. What does this mean? I don't know. No. Basically, what I had to say about this was, live from the field, Vince Stone here, reporting live from why didn't I think of thatsville? So what people were basically buying it at a lower currency, because it's completely jacked with the ruble right now. Same thing with some Brazil and the Argentina. And gifting it, then selling it at a discount, which sounds fucking brilliant, but I didn't think of it. P-Man?
Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. And it's not just that this week. Apparently, Steam has also tried to limit the amount of sales that go on with TF2, Counter-Strike Go, and Dota 2 items. Those items you get in game, like the keys and the skins and all of that, you couldn't sell them for about a week. And
that's after you get them, isn't it? You have
yes.
After you buy them or after you unlock them, you have a week.
Yeah,
if you
like in Counter-Strike, I don't know about TF2 or Dota 2, but in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you play the game, and if you're lucky, you'll get an item at the end of each round, like a weapon skin or a crate or a key or something. You get those, and then you can either put them on the marketplace and sell them or trade them with other people. Now, people, I'm assuming, found an exploit with gems, the new currency that Valve introduced for the winter sale.
Truly outrageous.
Yeah, and we're kind of inflating the auction prices like crazy, and it got out of hand. But as soon as the news came out that Steam was trying, preventing people from buying games from Russia in order to save some money, it got me thinking. So these two stories, it kind of makes it seem like they had this planned. There were a lot of people, obviously, scamming and exploiting the marketplace to get money, like in-game items, games, whatever, trying to make some money out of that. Then, all of a sudden, Valve introduces a new currency, the gems. Pretty sure, I'm not an economist or anything, but pretty sure
you do play one
that's
on the
why.
internet.
Kind of, sort of, maybe. They did introduce a whole new currency in order to maybe catch these people red-handed when they were trying to scam and exploit people and hand out permabans like that.
Well, you got to remember, Steam. We like to think of Steam as sort of this open marketplace, but it's a money-making entity for a corporation. So of course they're going to try and check people who are trying to take advantage of them. It's only good business.
That makes they themselves said that they were going to try to keep a hands-off approach on the on the Steam store itself and on the marketplace. Just let people do their thing. This goes kind of against that.
Well, what you got to look at is they're taking a hands-off approach until it starts fucking with their money.
Yeah, precisely. So
thank you for repeating my point.
As soon as they stop, making so much money as they otherwise possibly
honestly,
could.
I thought if I repeated it, it would stop them, but no.
No, it didn't.
No. You know what? It's making my nipples a bit of a wreck. Speaking of nipples.
All right.
So with the last Steam beta client update, there seems to be a new image for the controller. And lo and behold, there it is. Audio listeners, you can go check that out. I think we have a link to the post in our show notes.
Yes.
So you should check that out, as with all the links in this episode. Oh, goodness. But it looks like a minor revision to the last version we saw. There seems to be like some sort of cross on one of the touchpads that maybe indicates that it's a dedicated directional pad touchpad. I don't know, man. Every time I see every single revision of this controller, in Genesis, it was such a cool idea. It was like
it was, man.
Like basically the entire thing was covered in touchpads that you could configure to work with any game.
Yep.
But now it's just getting neutered and neutered and neutered. And Ben, you had a good point. You said
definitely
it was...
just looking at this. I mean, this thing is slowly morphing into a fucking X-Clone controller, and
with nipples.
With nipples. Areola Controlla. Hopefully the Areola is still maintained. And good on Valve. I mean, it was incredibly ambitious to try to crack this business with being able to play an entire genre that the filthy console peasants
not
don't
genre, like category
genre.
Yeah.
Fuck off. English. And I just don't think they're going to be able to crack it. I don't know. What do you think, Leon?
Yeah. Well, we had our doubts in the outset. We'll see in CES, I suppose.
I looked at the controller, and it reminded me a whole lot of this.
Square?
Okay, granted, yeah, it's very squarish. Granted, instead of the D-pad over here, you get a haptic feedback touchpad thingy, but it looks a lot like the NVIDIA controller.
Which looks a lot like the PlayStation controller, which looks a lot like the Super Nintendo controller, which looks a lot like...
And I've already mentioned this before, but I really like the idea of having a touchpad right there in the middle, which you could possibly hack and do other things with the OS.
Or just use it as a mouse, period.
Or use it as a mouse, even, yeah.
The PS4
now it's
controller
gone. Yeah, and now it's gone.
Speaking of things that are beyond
Earf.
Earf, Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earf is out for my friends at Aspire. What is it? You never heard of it? Beyond Earf is a new science fiction theme that came out quite well. We have it on Linux as part of an expedition sent to find a blah 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 alien. This is turn-based.
It's basically it's Civilization 5 reskinned to be all sci-fi.
Right.
My roommate picked this up a while ago on the Wind Blows.
Look at the price on
Windows
Brad,
game.
though, man.
Oh well, that's AAA prices. That's what Civilization 5 was selling for in Genesis back when it was first launched. So again, I said it a while ago. We're happy that there are AAA titles on Linux, but you gotta watch out for those AAA prices.
One thing I noted in the forums that they're still having some issues with black textures, racist, on some NVIDIA setups, and the game reviews are kind of mixed, bro.
The game reviews are kind of...
It's Civ 5. It's just Civ 5 again.
Yeah, the reviews are kind of meh because people were expecting the old Civilization. I can't remember its name. It had
they wanted to be Alpha Centauri. That's what they wanted.
Yes, that's the one.
They wanted a new Alpha Centauri.
Precisely, they wanted a new Alpha Centauri, and instead there's just Civ 5 with the space theme, and not a whole lot of people are happy about that, but it is still very much an Aspire port, so you can at least expect a decent enough port. The system recommendations are nothing, major. They say it's SteamOS and Ubuntu 14.04, Intel Core i3 and an AMD A10, 4 gigs of RAM, an NVIDIA GeForce 260, so yeah, just about everything will run it.
But one thing that did impress me about the entire development of this port is that Aspire was really, really good about posting blog updates as to what they were working on, their blockers, and all that stuff. It was very consistent, and other devs might want to look into doing something like that.
Yeah, maybe. But hey, there is no spoon. Maybe. No, this is...
I think you skipped over Warhammer.
Oh yeah, oops.
There we go.
Oh yeah, so this is Warhammer Fest. You might remember Warhammer if you were growing up in the 70s or 80s and you had an exorbitant amount of money to spend and you didn't have girls to distract you from other things.
Wait, Warhammer's that thing that people too smart to play D&D played, right?
Oh, except Games Workshop put out D&D stuff in addition to Warhammer stuff, so fuck you. No, this is basically it looks like a mobile game. It even complete with the whole if you pay extra you can unlock new spells and new characters and whatnot. But it's a dungeon crawler. It's a top-down dungeon crawler. It really reminds me of playing an actual Dungeons and Dragons game on map tools. It looks almost exactly the same because I think I've seen that exact background as a stock map tools art asset. I don't know. It's what is it costing these days?
$14.99 regularly, 20% off if you pre-purchase.
And you're pre-ordering it because it doesn't come out until January 7th. One thing I will note though is good on Games Workshop for choosing developers to develop their properties that use cross-platform development. I mean, Space Hulk, their last Warhammer 40k game, was released on Linux. This is going to be released on Linux.
That was pretty bad though.
Hey, at least they're being consistent with the support.
Yeah,
and it's better than other gaming companies, Wizards of the Coast.
All right, back to the spoon.
Now, yes, there is no spoon because it's the new Scavenger. And the best description I've heard of this game is DayZ meets Fallout in hipster pixel land with limited budgets, because that's exactly what it is. It's a spreadsheet simulator for the most part, and you have to manage like your resources and everything, and you have to keep yourself alive, much like you do in DayZ. But it's a post-apocalyptic world in the same way that the Fallout series does it. Now, if it wasn't for the spreadsheety things and the retro 8-bit hipster pixel graphics, I would have probably been all over this game. But it's 2014, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we're looking at this business here. I mean, it's clocking at $14.99, and fortunately, no one died this week because there was a demo. I downloaded the demo. It was like 4 megs or something like that. I was like, that's incredibly small. What's this, written in ASM? Open it, Flash game.
Well, and apparently they're also targeting the lucrative enterprise gaming market because they list RELS 5.6 as one of the system requirements.
What's that?
That's like 2 versions of REL old. I think that's hitting end of life next year. So
Kind of like Flash on Linux.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's clever.
All right, let's shoot this business up. Mari. I'm going with Mari Indy. Is the fastest, most artist-friendly way to texture paint amazing 3DS. What is it? You never heard of it.
Blender!
Well, this is like Blender with a take on artist.
This is more texture-y, not so much 3D modeling.
Well, it is for 3D modeling, but applying textures to it in a more sane way. I mean, Blender has come a long way, brother, but it's still nightmare fuel of an interface.
Where's that Steam integration for Blender, though? They promised that.
This one clocks in, even at 25% off, regularly $149, at 112.74 wet, stinky caches. But this is something I kind of looked at here.
But that's because the winter sale is on right now.
I looked at this. It's kind of brilliant. You can subscribe to it. You can get 1 month for $12.49, 3 months. I like 1 month. It's still plural. Or 6 months for, $8.29 a month. That might be good, definitely, if you want to try something out. And I'm a huge fan of big
Adobe
tools.
moved to that model with the Creative Suite too. You can buy yearly subscriptions.
Really shouldn't say big tools because I searched the interwebs for this, and the only thing I found was a Steam page. So this kind of popped up out of fuckallsville. Any thoughts on it, P-Man? You want to make your giant 14-inch floppy car?
Not particularly. No, I'm more of a games player. I was gonna say critic, but I'm not getting paid to criticize games, so that'll just make me an asshole.
You're not getting paid.
I'm more of a game player.
Yes, we are technically journalists. Air quotes.
Yes, but we're not getting paid for it, so we're kind of in the dark. And with that, let's go on to some Torchlight. Yes, Torchlight 2. A bit of non-news because it's technically just the Mac and Linux depots that have gone public. But like I said, they're still very much empty, so pants on. They've got the save depot kind of sort of set up, but everything else is still in testing. It's looking around 1.54 gigabytes when it's finally out. But it's still not out, so...
Yeah, this is exciting news. It's 2014. How old is this game again, Jalen?
It came out in 2011 or something. I'm excited, though. I really like Torchlight 2. It's one way to get ahead in my books. Get it? Torchlight went on Linux was such garbage.
I thought your people made with the funny.
I'm really hopeful for this. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to get my hopes up, but I really did enjoy Torchlight 2. I really hope that they get all the mods and multiplayer working cross-platform, because
that would be awesome.
That would make me really happy. I would probably shit my pants.
No, it's only going to work on Linux, but it's going to be distribution Pacific.
Oh no, it's only going to run on Puppy Linux. That's nuts.
Yes.
And for the sake of
or Yellow Dog, because you need a PowerPC computer.
For the sake of accuracy, this came out in September 2012. Just before someone watching this goes like, it came out. We know.
Whatever, who cares?
Pants on.
LGC
no, take your pants off. I want to see your junk.
Like our horse, which wears no pants.
.com. Coming up next, we take on the Fhoronics test suite and fail.
Why? Why would we even do that?
Because I am.
Boys and girls, welcome to the good old regular Linuxy news. And apparently this week we're dealing with
Debugging the Fhoronics test suite in Fedora 20. The following tests failed to properly run, also known as Tuesday, aka no shit.
As we all know, the Fhoronics test suite is the most scientific, rigorous benchmark.
Oh yes,
in the history of PC.
Here's like the serious dice on this, and I was like, okay, the open source benchmark with the open source games, they work, no big issue. Second, you bring Steam into the equation, and Flying Spaghetti Monster help you. If you have Steam in a non-standard directory, test suite goes, YOLO swag, bro. Grabs Dorito and runs screeching out of your house into the night. And I'm going to figure this out. And I start reinventing the fucking wheel, and I finally run across this because I cannot find this damn demo file. Or it can't find this demo file. And I went through this whole thing. I was like, what? There it is. Oh, there it is. And lo and behold, this experiment of
Holy shit, that's big.
Ends basically what I confirmed. Fuck all idea where time demo is supposed to be. It's called PTS2 dim. I can't find it. I tried doing an actual system-wide install of test suite and immediately yoinked that out because I felt dirty. Localized install, moved things around. Nothing. This guy went through everything trying to debug this script and eventually just went, nope.
That is some ugly ass path too. Can't you just like use the OS's library path?
Yeah.
Can't you just? One of the things that bugs me is if it doesn't support things in standard locations, where are the command line switches to specify the non-standard locations? It seems like sort of a thing you would do.
I don't know.
Yeah, apparently it requires you to set up Portal 2 on Steam to enable SV cheats so it can run the benchmark itself. But apparently he didn't know that, maybe.
Considering this is for Team Fortress 2.
It's the fact that there are actual files missing from the suite.
Right, it cannot locate the fucking demo file. And I know I'm looking forward to your hate mail, LGCK. But if you just make one better and you do it yourself, then... Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, and shut the fuck up, Pedro, while I'm talking. Here's the thing.
Sorry.
You know, I know my limitations, so I wouldn't try to make this type of mess. That's me. The other type of person says YOLO swag and goes out and does it. Coming up next, Speed Racist.
Oh, yes.
Go Speed Racist.
So this is Super Tux Kart, the premier racing game on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
And they've released 0.82, I believe it is, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Now with OpenGL 3.1.
I know, it's crazy.
Yep.
But I mean, it's an engine update. I think they're using the Antarctica engine or something like that.
Yeah, the new Antarctica engine.
Yeah.
I think now they have the binaries out. At the time, I just cloned that. I think it was on a Git repo.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. Like earlier this week, I went to go compile a thing from source, and I checked their Git repo, and they didn't have a 0.9 or a 0.8 whatever tag, so I just ended up building it from head.
Giggity.
I know what I said.
Here's what I'm saying: is it looks marginally better. There's nothing that's going to explode your brain meats through your eye organs when you see this, outside of some new lighting effects. And the one thing I've constantly harped on, this has been brilliant if we can get this over to Steam, but it needs multiplayer. And they plan on getting around to that in fuck all you've in Z91, which...
No, well, they said multiplayer support for WAN environments, so we can finally play Super Tux Kart over frame relay.
Yes. 2014, ladies and gentlemen.
But of course, the real question is, will this run faster than 107.8 frames a second? And Chatroom, that is your homework this week.
Yes. So, moving on from Super Tux Kart to Oculus Rift. And this comes from rootgamer.com. Once again, you can find the links. You can find the links to all of our stories in the show notes. And no, this wasn't actually written by Sandy. It was Dirk.
I'm already bummed. I misread Nimble VR as Nipple VR, so it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, so basically, it's the Oculus team just hired a bunch of old Kinect developers, and considering the fact that Microsoft themselves have admitted that the Kinect was a complete failure, and you might as well accept this, otherwise you're just out of a job.
I don't
I mean,
know.
it also kind of makes sense. Like the Kinect technology would work really, really well with like good quality VR tech. And the Kinect itself is actually a cool little thing. And there's some fairly early on, Microsoft realized, hey, people are going to want to hack this, and they released an SDK that worked under Linux actually. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like Facebook is trying to make some more strategic acquisitions and expanding out the Oculus team to create something. What it is, we have no idea.
Really, the only thing I have to say about this entire situation with the Facebooks and the Oculus, now the Kinect developers, is Xbox off. Coming up next.
Yes. It's time to get a bit unreal. So, Street Fighter 4, or not Street Fighter 4, that came out a while ago. We're on Turbo Street Fighter 4 Chocolate Mega Douche Edition. I don't know. But Street Fighter 5 will be using the Unreal 4 engine. Now, they have said from the get-go that they are planning to release this on PC, so Windows, and the PlayStation 4. Why not the Xbox? No fucking clue. Who cares? But the fact that it is on the Unreal Engine does mean that it will have native Linux support, or has the possibility to have native Linux support.
Hey, J-Man, you want to do some role playing?
Unreal 4 demos run on Linux flawlessly.
Let's do some role playing. I'm going to be Capcom.
All right,
okay, I'm going to be Capcom.
Can I be the black guy?
Yeah. So, Capcom, we can sit now here. I'm Capcom, and I'm like, yeah, no Linux release, since middleware X is Windows only, bro.
But, Unreal 4 can handle that without middleware.
We'll find another reason. YOLO swag.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about the speculation level?
9,000! But really, I do believe that Unreal 4 is built from its core to truly make cross-platform game development a real thing, and you would genuinely have to go out of your way to come up with a reason other than, I don't want to fucking do Linux. That I respect. If a developer comes out and like, we don't want to do Linux, I'm like, you suck, Brad.
If you don't want to do Linux, just come out and say it, Bethesda.
Yeah. It would be nice if Capcom started supporting Linux, though. That would be a nice step. Someone in the Reddit thread for this basically said that Capcom is generally one of the more open Japanese companies that tend to support
But then again, they're Japanese. Japanese game developers, they don't really like the PC. They usually just target consoles.
Yeah, but then Street Fighter 4 came out on the PC, and they made a big deal about that.
Yeah, granted, and it would be awesome if it came to Linux, because we don't really have any fighting games. Because we don't really have.
I'm a bit tired of just playing Skullgirls under Linux.
I know Skullgirls is getting old. Well,
Skullgirls is getting kind of old under Linux. Just saying.
And you better watch out, or Portugal will invade you again if we do not get this.
Yeah, we'll send our
one thing that did come up though was apparently of the games in that article that are using the Unreal 4 engine, the new Crackdown is going to be using that, and I would be excited if that on Linux. But that's a Microsoft property, and that just made
that's Microsoft all the way.
I played Crackdown on 360. It was such a fun game. It was like a genuinely good superhero simulator where you run around and beat up homeless people as a superpowered black man.
Why not?
All right, that does it for the news.
We shall see. Coming up next, we declare total war on Feral after they declare total war on Linux multiplayer, and we'll tell you more about that next. Good. Let the Chairquisition begin for Empire Total War. Developed by Feral and I think 2K. I want to say that and not sound like an idiot. No,
2K published it. Yeah, so it's technically still correct.
Still technically correct. Creative Assembly, Feral, worked on the port for Linux. It's built on the Warscape engine, not to be confused with the Warcraft engine. It is normally $19.99 wet stinky bucks, but you can pick up the game for $10 until January 2nd, thanks to the Steam summer sale, or it's not summer sale, winter sale. And of course, if you're feeling particularly, like you need to give money to someone that isn't us, you can pick up the Master Collection for $176 on the reg and $90 on the winter sale. So what is it? Dominate the 18th century on land and sea. Command the seas, control the land, forge a new nation, conquer the globe, and slaughter Native Americans by the hundreds. Empire Total War takes the Total War franchise to the 18th century age of enlightenment and blah, 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 blah. Basically 18th century real-time strategy game. So, of course, with every Chairquisition we have the Chairquisition. Come on, Ben, you can do it. There we go. 1 chair means that it's shit. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means that it's amazing, and I just jizzed in my pants. So, we also have our categories of doom, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So, let's kick this off. Did Empire Total War make with the working? Ben.
Tested it out on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS. 980 powered, 4K displayed box of business. And, you know, for the most part, it ran without issue. I was a bit worried when it first launched in 4K glory and it had a little box in it. And I was like, oh, no, this shit again. Turned out that wasn't a big issue. What was a big issue? Popping audio was driving me hella crazy. Now, this can be fixed if you want to go in to your Pulse daemon and edit the default fragments and the default fragment sizes. All be in the show notes how to sort that. It's probably easy enough for an arch user to even figure out. Now, multiplayer, it's Linux to Linux, so that might as well not be a moon option. I'm going to have to ding it a chair for that. And if you're wondering, what's the big issue behind this? Why can't maths? That's a simple explanation.
Apparently, C-math is not a thing you can
use.
No,
maths is a horrible thing. That's what Feral got back, and they said, well, it's maths, bro, don't worry about it. But they do say, which this means that you can only play Linux, not Linux to Mac, or Linux to DOS, or Linux to OS 400. Two. It's brilliant. But they are investigating the issue, but I fear that they're investigating that issue with the same enthusiasm that I would investigate going to a church barbecue sponsored by Fhoronics. So, with
the best barbecue, man.
With a working, I'll give it a solid 3. And we do have to keep in point, this is the main category where we're really talking about Feral Interactive, awesome group of guys doing this business. Outside of that, they didn't make the game. They only ported it. J-Man.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that audio popping, jeez. And I was too lazy to edit my Pulse config and restart the machine because Pulse Audio, for whatever reason, whenever I try to modify the configuration, doesn't let me just reload the damn daemon. I have to reboot the actual box. But that's my problem and not yours. It worked fine out of the box, except for one thing that's going to make me ding at a chair. The sailing tutorial is completely fucking busted. Right-click an enemy to issue an attack order. Okay. Right-click an enemy to issue an attack order. Right-click an enemy to issue an attack order. That's what I'm doing. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, so I had to nope out of that and start. But when I started the main game, it seemed to work fine. Didn't make it to any of the naval segments yet. I was too busy slaughtering Native Americans. So I'll give that 3 cheers.
On what?
On the Fedora 20 64-bit AMD 1090 T670 superclocked box of By My Footness here. Yes.
So on my Fedora 21 64-bit, well, technically Corora 21 64-bit, the Amiga, as they call it, with an FX 8370E and NVIDIA GTX 970 Strix. That's the one. It worked fine, no issues for me. It even started on the netbook, which is currently too far away for me to show it, but it's just unplayable. It's basically just a slideshow at that point. It's got a C30 APU. It's pretty bad. I guess the reason why I didn't have any sound issues is because I already have my Pulse Audio configured like Ven suggested you do it, because it's something I learned from the Wine games causing buffer underruns on the Alpha, on the ALSA Pulse Audio plugin. So yeah, 4 cheers for me.
All right, so that's 3 chairs for makes it working. Shiny and sounds, Ben. Did it blow your mind? 4K goodness.
Shiny and sounds. Well, I do have to say this game looks like it's from 2009. Wait, it was. But you know what else came out in 2009? Trine. Seriously. That's like comparing apples and wrench turners. Seriously. No doubt about that. That's what I'm getting at is this game looks graphically like meh. Now that said, it does support meh at 4K. So good on that lot. And after I sorted the audio, all I can say is, you know, at the end of the day, it works. But you might want to put on some 1812 Overture and just rock out to that business and ignore whatever they have going on. So for the shiny and sounds, I mean, it doesn't look good for even a 2009 title. And the sounds, with the issues being too difficult for most Arch users to figure out. A lot of dinging there. I'll give it 2 chairs because it's not completely busted, but it's not going to blow apart your brain meats.
Yeah, much what Ben said. I mean, I am underwhelmed by the graphical, just by the graphics of this game, and I'm equally underwhelmed by the sound. The voiceover guy in the tutorial and who narrates a bunch of the stuff sounds just enough like a bad Patrick Stewart that it assaults my ears every time he talks, especially when he's telling me to right-click an enemy to launch an attack. That's always fun to hear again and again and again and again and again in one incredibly unbroken sentence. Topic. It was really quite hypnotic. But beyond that, I mean, for Zero AD looks better than this. And that's sort of the scale, I think the unofficial scale we've sort of worked out is if Zero AD, the charity-funded open source strategy game, looks better than your game, you got problems. It really does seem like a middle of the road thing, or in terms of audio and video. I'm gonna give it 2 chairs just because it did not blow me away at all.
Yeah, and this is the Empire, you know, this is the Total War series. It's for all intents and purposes, if it's not AAA, it's at least AA as a series of games can go. And the voice acting is not very good, and like both Ed and Jordan have already mentioned, the graphics, while pretty enough, they're starting to look kind of dated. It really doesn't do it for me. I didn't run into the bug that Jordan did with the tutorial where the narrator just kept repeating on things, but the voice acting in itself is just not very good. 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Control! Ben, did you feel like you were in control of the British?
They work. I also want to back you up. The infantry tutorial is all right. That ship tutorial is buggy as fuck all. At least they maintain parity with the Windows port and the Mac port being buggy as fuck all. Give them credit on that. But they work. With the controllers, you use your mouse organ and your keyboard organ. You move around your standard lot. A couple things. I didn't realize that the camera could be moved up and down until I played the ship tutorial. I was like, oh, right, that's over here. Bit all over the place, but easily, manageable. And all the keys they make with the rebinding, so I have no legitimate... I mean, I would ding it 1 chair because it didn't work with my racing wheel out of the box. I had to do a little configuration to get that. But all in all, 4 chairs. Good job.
I don't know. I'm used to like top-down real-time strategies like Command and Conquer or StarCraft. So when they put me on sort of that horizontal, semi-isometric but not quite isometric view,
you can't ever get it quite right.
Yeah, it just doesn't sit well, and it's hard to coordinate, especially when all your little guys, if you're trying to coordinate multiple forces to attack a single target, which you often want to do because one-on-one they will just wipe each other out. I don't know, when you set 2 different distinct forces to converge on a single spot, they get all mixed up and it's impossible to control which group you want to actually control. I mean, I guess there's the card thing at the bottom, but when I'm trying to like coordinate, I have to move my mouse all the way down and blah 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 blah. It's easier just to click on the units.
Wow,
themselves.
try that with the 4Ks.
Oh, I can imagine. I really can't. I don't, the it's not what I'm used to. It's not something I particularly like. The controls themselves do work. I mean, they're basic. You point and click. So some of the default settings seem a bit dumb. Like why do you need to toggle fire at will? That should be something that you turn off by default, considering that you're basically yeah, shooting takes like a good 5 seconds as you gotta load the musket and load all the peat and crap. And I don't know, 2 chairs.
Yeah, the controls for this game, I'm not a big RTS fan, but why can I not tilt the camera? Oh, is it a requirement for feral games to do this? Because there are other Linux games.
You can tilt in naval mode, not in any other mode.
Yes. But XCOM, Enemy Unknown / Enemy Within, it also did that. You'd had a fixed camera perspective. You could spin it around. You could zoom in and out. That was fine. Tilt it, like go all the way up or all the way down. Couldn't do it. This game, you can do it sort of in the naval combat because when you zoom in, it kind of tilts in a way, and then when you zoom out, it tilts out. But
no, there's also an explicit tilt. That's the Z and X buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried that. That didn't really help that much. I wanted to tilt the camera all the way up, and I found a way to do it, but you'd have to edit one of the config files, which is a pain in the ass to find in Linux. You can Google for it, but it's not very easy. And from the moment that I have to start editing files in order to get the game to work the way that I want it to, I'm sorry, but that's 2 chairs right out of there. 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for control. And finally, fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Oh, brother, the fun I had is easily summed up in about 3 paragraphs. And again, nothing against Feral at all. I mean, they're dealing with the chainsaw they were given. So, let's talk about this fun. For starters, the AI genuinely has the mental age of a fuck-mothering toddler. You don't say, all right, Jimmy, go do this. Because the second you turn away and go to something else, you turn back around, little Jimmy's got the glue stick in his mouth, trying to figure some shit out. And this strategy is based on who has the most units, which has been proven time and time again throughout history not to be the case. Strategy is strategy. Now, granted, there are times where, you know, the people with the bigger boomstick just win, but sometimes there's a bit of cleverness involved. And the base price for this game stands at 19.99 wet stinky cashes. But for the low price, Billy Mays button here, of 164.99, I never promised there would not be mass. You can experience the full game. Seems the only fun. I mean, after reading around and about this rebalanced gameplay, comes from this thing called Darth Mod. Not Vader, but Darth Mod. And I genuinely have fuck all idea if it works with Linux, because I'm not going to be bothered. So, for fun, again, this is for the game. The port is a solid port. This game gets 1 chair. J-Man.
Well, as a counterpoint to what you said, you know, back in the 1800s, military strategy was, let's form a giant line and shoot at each other. So I guess it's either having guns that will load faster or more guns total will help you win. So that sort of makes sense in the historical context.
Well, I don't know. Taking over the colonies, that didn't work so well for the British.
Yeah,
because they were using a guerrilla-type style.
That's because the
warfare.
Americans used guerrilla tactics.
Right. Just saying.
Just saying, yeah. Which you can't really pull off in this game. Period.
Man, it just needs first-person elements. Hashtag Dorito, bro.
Oh man, no, it's again, real-time strategy is never really my thing. I like StarCraft well enough, but beyond that, I don't really enjoy real-time strategy games all that much. Also, the first mission involved slaughtering natives if you're playing as the Americans, which is fun. It's like, oh, we have to manifest destiny and whatnot. So happy Thanksgiving, y'all. As for the game itself, I mean, the controls and the voice acting and all this stuff really totals together to make a very underwhelming experience. Maybe if you're a real-time strategy game, you'll like, or a real-time strategy game fan, you'll like this. Maybe if you're an Empire fan, you'll like this. I certainly didn't one share.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big RTS fan. I can recognize the fact that it is a very complete RTS game. It has both the ground combat with the infantry and the cavalry and all that, but it also has naval combat. In that respect, good on them. And again, I'm not digging on the port. The port works about as good as the Windows or Mac versions ever did. Good on Feral for that, but this game in itself is just not my cup of tea. I have to give it 2 chairs for the fun. It's the middle of the road. It's about as non-committal a score as I can give it, because it's a game that I don't enjoy, but I can still recognize its worth.
Alright, so that's 1 chair for fun, and 2 chairs total for Empire Total War. And I guess the moral of the story is when you're dealing with these ports of these various AAA games, you got to remember that Aspire or Feral, they really are given the code and said, and are told to get this right. If the game they get is shit, the output will be shit. It's not something that they can help because they have no input in the game design process, which is where all the fun stuff generally comes out of. So, final thoughts, Ben or Pedro? Anything?
The big price on Brad. That was
especially. Are you specifically referring to Feral's Brad?
No, not Feral's Brad. I like that Brad. Me and him were bros, man. He came over last night and we played Sonic the Hedgehog.
I thought that was Jesus.
It's same guy, man. Same guy.
The chat cries.
Here's the thing. I was doing the research, and apparently this game, when it originally launched back in 2009, was like the precursor of shit to come. It launched with day 1 DLC. It was like, yeah, we got a complete game, but you want to buy the rest of it after you bought it? You can do that. And out of the series, this seems to be the most, like, meh, everybody's got something to say about it. The one that came before this with the samurai, ninja swingy
Shogun.
Yeah, everyone had a massive sploosh over that, and it's all right. I don't like the interoperability. The one thing that really burns me the most is there is multiplayer, but you can click on it and look at all the games that you're completely incompatible with.
Yeah.
Ow. Maybe just nix that, and don't invite me to the church barbecue sponsored by Laravel. P-Man?
Oh, we'll send you the one on Linux, or on our sponsored by what's the one? Gaming on Linux. That's the one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, for me, like I said, I'm not the best person you should ask when it comes to RTS games. You want to know about RPGs, FPSs, racing games? Sure, I'm your guy. But RTSs, no. I hear a lot of people say good things about this game, but there are also a considerable number of people that are not so positive about it. And from my experience, I guess they do kind of have a point. So if you're not big into the RTS genre, give this one a pass. It's not going to change your mind. And it's $20 or 20 euros for the base price of the game. It's on sale now. It's 50% off. But if you want the entire DLC pack, it's going to run you for well over $150. So keep that in mind.
Or you're going to have to suck Pedro's dick really, really hard.
Before we close out, I think there's one thing we need to say. I mean, in full disclosure, Feral sent us like the big monster pack with our press thing.
Literally a day after we had bought the game to review.
We bought the game ourselves at the base price. So we're paying what you would. That's what we're playing, is what the average person is like, all right, we're going to pick this up and try that. We're not giving you the review of the full Yellow Swag Dorito version. So,
one final note on multiplayer, at least from me, is I don't really like the excuse that Farrell gave regarding it. Math libraries producing different numbers, that doesn't make any sense. There are standardized math libraries like, I don't know, CMath that does all that stuff.
Yes.
The same numbers on every platform you use it on. Coming up next, we discuss stalkers of Linux Gamecast and mice and shit. Hey, like the show? Check us out at LinuxGameCast.com. Click on the podcast button for RSS feeds, our wall of shame, and donato buttons. There's also an Amazon affiliate link, because making this shit is hella expensive, yo. Speaking of which, if you like kicking us somewhat stinky, a recurring donation gets you a producer's credit at the end of the show, and a one-time donation gets you into the super ultra mega chocolatey fudge Linux Gaming Super Squad. Broke as shit. Can't steal your parents' credit cards? No problem. Spread the word on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. And remember, kids, fuckity bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you didn't watch this show live, as you should, you kind of missed the whole bit of Ven and Jordan calling me Plagemarizo. So, that's on you.
Way to plagiarize
right
us, man. You're fired.
I am Plagemarizo, the plagiarism wizard.
Plagiarism.
Whatever.
he also smokes poorly rolled blunts.
I don't know.
That
Maybe
is-
take like 5 shots for that one.
In any case, this is the hate mail. If you'd like to get in touch with us, go on over to LinuxGameCast.com. Push that lovely contact button on the nav bar there. Fill out your name, fill out your email, give us a subject, give us your message, prove you're smarter than Ven's bot, and we'll be happy to feature your thing. Unless, of course, it is a crowdfunding campaign of any sort. If it is, just make sure to include a Linux beta, demo, prototype, whatever you want to call it. Because if you don't, not only will we not mention your thing, we will make fun of you. Sound good? Alright, so let's get into some hate mail. Apparently, there's some computer mice and shit.
This comes from actual Russian.
Yes, Dimko. He says, hello, comrades. First of all, I'd like to point out to our friend Mr. Pedro that my friend there is company in northern part of Europe that produces mice where RR letter
God, I'm gonna have to put subtitles on this.
keyboards and stuff. Rocket is the name. In their mouse and buttons, the device are rebindable. You can use native software that runs Linux. Basically, if game allows to bind mouse buttons, you can bind mouse buttons to usual keyboard and bind it that way. And Mr. Stoned, if you are a capitalistic bastard, I know you are a spy because real Russian can detect real Russian accent from a mile.
What?
And now that I've gone through that and pretty much induced suicide on a great percentage of the population of Linux Gamecast listeners / watchers.
That's cute. When he gets drunk, he thinks he's funny.
I have to say that, yes, I have considered a Rocat mouse for a good long while now, and I do have a left-handed version, so I will probably get one eventually. Thing is, the Diablo 3 thingy here, it does support binding keyboard keys to the mouse themselves, namely these ones on the right here, these thumb buttons. They are set to page up and page down. So theoretically, they should work, but the matter of fact is they don't. And in the day and age of SDL2, this is a non-issue. Every single game that ships out without proper ring-binding control is like a slap across the face of Oculus. It's pretty bad.
It is really fun to slap his face, though. I mean,
it's all
I'm just saying,
loud.
I mean,
You just kind of want to pinch
usually he pays people for that, but capitalistic bastards we are. So, Roy von Nope.
Roy von
Physics Platform IO, now on Steam. I'm Roy from Give Us a Small game developed from Amsterdam, as Bass Amsterdam Game Jam.
That explains the name. You must have been high while typing.
Speed and momentum. You control a ball, giggity. You can grow and shrink. More giggity. More info about the game. Please do not hesitate to contact me. It is.
Oh, yes.
He's not lying about this business. I played it on the Steams and picked it up. It's kind of moderately entertaining.
So it's Night Sky.
It kind of reminds me of like
graphics.
Sonic the Hedgehog a little.
If he was a ball, yes, from
If he was
Amsterdam,
a ball.
high as a kite, absolutely. Get bigger.
Get ripped. Actually, no, it's kind of like now that I look at it, it kind of reminds me of the bridge.
It's Night Sky. It's Night Sky with neon graphics.
I don't
But
know. I mean, it runs well.
they do have a demo on their website. It does require the Unity web player though, which is not.
No, bro.
No,
No, that last year at Xmas, Unity showed that off, and it's coming out tomorrow.
It was full HTML5 support.
Right.
Right. This is from Jill, the Linux girl. But there are no girls on the internet. Hello, Ben, Pedro, Jordan, Mary, Tuxmas, LGC. Just want to let you know that I sent along another donation for all the work you do at LGC.
Thank you, Jill.
The Amazon affiliate link.
Well.
Good for you. Since you... What?
Yeah, then? I found a good cheap Xbox game controller that works great in Linux, even with the default XPad driver's smiley face. Rock candy, giggity. Xbox 360 controller at Amazon, but no link organ. Boo.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Jordan's seizure controller.
The Hori.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, not the Hori. That's the actual seizure controller that like lights up and flashes when the rumble goes off.
All right. Bought the red one, did a bit trip fez, tell us principle, it was amazing, even the vibrant giggity. Works even
Apparently her default window manager is Window Maker, which is just a slight hair above running in raw X session.
But you do know it gets better performance than Unity, Choco, GNOME. Of course, attached screenshots. That is. Look at it. Behold. Obey it. Obey my dog. Second image. Oh, look.
Kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia!
Yeah, J-Man had some music. What the hell?
Well, I was too busy trying to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia then. No, but yeah, you gotta be a special type of crazy if you're running Window Maker. So good on her for that.
And finally,
apparently, this woman also runs a render farm for whatever reason I don't quite know.
Yeah, man.
And has a quad-core Xeon with 128 gigs of RAM running SteamOS.
It's not just a quad-core Xeon. She has a double CPU on that machine. It's a quad-core Xeon and an AMD Fire Pro with 128 gigs of RAM. God damn, girl!
Well, you know, if you have spare server hardware lying around, you can in fact run SteamOS on it because it is Debian, and Debian fucking supports it.
And actually, mentioned to Plagemarizo. What are we going with now?
Plagiarismo. Plagemarizo.
I loved your interview on Linux for Us of Us. I'm also extremely excited by the advent of Steambox, and keep up the great show. Look forward to being a Patreon on the LGC Patreon site. Yours and Tux, Jillix, not to be confused with Skrillex.
Yeah, drop the bass.
Blah 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 blah. No, seriously, that's awesome. For helping us out. I remember you sent us a donation last year. See, elephant.
She sent us some hate mail, and I think she actually quoted us on an article she wrote for something.
Yeah, and she is very much one of the women of Linux. If you go on over to that website that she mentions in the hate mail, she has a lot of interesting stuff. Make sure to give her a note on that.
I think she helps co-run a community for women in open source, actually. So.
Yep.
Sweet.
Along with Christy Ramsey and a couple others. So give her, show her some love. Chat Realm in true women-loving fashion, as we are, because we're totally
because there are no women or homosexuals in the audience. No, sir.
None whatsoever.
And on that line of bullshit, let's cue the music. You can always find us every Saturday night, Eastern Moon Time, somewhere around 9:30 in Chat Realm. Dynamic, the worst of the worst, the trolliest of trolls, the zombie demon hordes of the interwebs. I'm Vin Stone.
And soon, I was going to say, and soon, new Chat Realm.
And new Chat Realm. Chatpocalypse is coming. I'm at Vin Stone, cleverly disguised on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G+. What's up, Hebrew?
I'm Joan Svung. You can find me nailing your savior to trees at The Burning Fool or on Google Plus at plus Joan Svung.
I am Plagemarizo. You can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Peter Mateus on Google Plus. Plagemarizo. Remember.
You should totally change your Twitter handle to that too.
You know,
yeah, I need to see if it's available.
Plagemarizo, I'm sick of you plagiarizing Pedro Mateus.
Hey man, Plagemarizo. It's what I do.
It's like Rizzo the Rat, except it's more plagiarism.
You don't want to see his wand.
Oh, everyone wants to see that. Every single person.
He straps it to his forehead and it looks retarded.
I'm a unicorn! No, you're just a stupid
You're not a wizard, Harry. You're not.
You're a lizard,
You're not
Barry.
a unicorn, Barry!